We're live. No
Hi
countdown.
everyone.
We are.
Earl
Hello.
Grey Truckee
Hi,
style.
everyone.
We just went we went straight live. Hi everybody. Thanks so much for joining me, Dan, Robbie, and Marcelo, to talk further about Star Trek Prodigy and Star Trek Lower Deck Season 2. I'm so happy to have you here with me. I've already talked about it two times, three times, four times, maybe 100 times, but I'm still keen on hearing other people's thoughts. So I'm not going to talk too much about it. I might just chime in with some of my ideas, but primarily I'd like to hear what the three of you think because I have no idea. Except for Robbie, I got a hint of what he thinks, but and Marcelo a little bit last night. But so Dan, we're keen on hearing about your thoughts on Star Trek Prodigy first. I'll let you go first, and also Lower Decks.
Um. Oh, do I need to comment on word tax?
No, you don't have to comment it on Lower Decks. But if do you have any thoughts on Star Trek Prodigy?
um. I think the art is like really beautiful. I'm like hoping that it will feel like a Star Trek series. Because like
When you say
it
when you
was
say you're hoping it will, does that mean that you might have some reservations that it won't be or that it
well,
will be?
yeah, like from the trailer, I thought like there's not, with it being like a non-Starfleet crew, I thought it might feel less like the Star Trek we're all familiar with and love. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping that it'll still have like a Star Trek feel to it, uh, given that.
Yeah, it'll be like I guess the first true show that doesn't have a Starfleet crew or Starfleet influence. Could Star Trek Picard, like I guess because of the inclusion of characters who were in Starfleet as well as the presence of Starfleet, so I guess that excludes it. But I would say that Star Trek Picard might have been a close contender for
Mm.
that title as well, right?
But even then, like in the new trailer, the newest trailer for Star Trek Picard, it looks like Rios is wearing like a Starfleet badge.
Right. We
And
we
there's
should talk about that. I'm annexing Star Trek Picard to this to this discussion. So at any point, if you guys want to talk about Star Trek Picard, I'm very interested in hearing it. But going back to Prodigy for a second, so you're concerned that you're not going to be too interested in the subject matter if it's not for you if it's not Starfleet related in some way or something or.
no, I just think it might feel a bit different. So
Hmm.
I'm wondering about that, but I wouldn't say I'm concerned because like I really like the art, and I think like if it doesn't have that feel, then I might sort of like be inclined to view it as just more of a sort of, which I think is sort of maybe hinted at in the trailer, that it might be more sort of a generic sort of sci-fi show rather than a Star Trek one.
The panel, I
But
know
still
I know
enjoy
you
it.
didn't watch this, but this might help assuage some of that. At the panel, I think they like made it clear that it was going to be a very Star Trek laden, like steeped in kind of like whatever the mythos and like the Star Trek idea is. So I'm hoping they do deliver on that
But
because
well,
it'll be cool.
regarding that, I'm hoping it won't be like Lower Decks and like every, don't know, 2 seconds or whatever they have to cite a Star Trek reference. It's like
You don't like that
rather
about
than
Lord?
getting on, no, rather than getting on with actual like storytelling more.
I think wait, you've only seen Lower Decks maybe the one time when it aired, and you said you were frustrated by it, and it can kind of like wasn't your bag, right?
Well, before it came out, the trailers for the first season of Lower Decks really frustrated me already. Like with how fast paced the trailers were, but then like watching the first season, I quite enjoyed like the majority of the first season, except for like the very last episode that like deeply frustrated me for so many reasons. Like I haven't watched the first season. Like Shax really grew on me as a character, so I was like really frustrated to kill them off. I was frustrated that the return to Sigma Iota no, not Sigma Iota 2. We've just been talking about that on another video. But the planet from Return of the Archons, and I thought, well, that's just undoing like the work that Kirk did on that planet. The fact that they brought Riker back in the season finale, where it was like Riker it seems to be like they
But
have to keep returning Riker like
okay,
in
wait,
every
wait.
season finale
I know
in
in
These Are
all
the
of Star Trek.
Voyages, in Picard, in Lower Decks. It's like why the
but
same thing
but the thing
again and
about
again and again.
if I
Especially when Riker was my least favorite character from the Next Generation,
oh no, you're taking
which
stabs
I
at one of
love
my
that
favorite
series,
characters.
but
That's funny. Oh, real quick, because there's a lot to. I have a lot. You said a lot there, and we'll definitely go to Marcel and Robbie in a second. But I just have one more question. But like Star Trek, I understand what you're saying about having Riker coming back and all that stuff. But like, do you like? Don't you think that was funny though? Like, if you accept Star Trek Lower Decks as a parody of Star Trek itself, like, isn't it funny that they're making light of things and like saying that like the Archons went back to their wicked ways and like, did you not laugh at those gags at all?
I don't think. Well, yes, I do find it funny, but I don't think that is Star Trek. I think that's more like Star Trek Lower Decks, basically making fun of the other series because none of the other series that we've had so far does that.
Well, Mike McMahon, he is a huge lover of, especially TNG, and he has said that Lower Decks is it's a love letter to Star Trek because he adores the show, and when he's making fun of
Well,
it, sometimes it's just for the comedy and to have a different air to that show. It's not because it's not malicious in any way. It's completely from a nostalgia fan perspective.
so
Also,
okay. So are
I
you
think the
also
show.
remembering that? Are you also? Can I just address that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Are you remembering that like Rick Berman and Brandon Braga said the same thing about These Are the Voyages? It was intended as a love
Yeah,
letter.
yeah, that's true. I
Well,
can't argue with that.
also, I mean, it's okay to have your own version of like you like I think I like to espouse this idea that you can make Star Trek what you will of it. Like you don't have to love every like not every Star Trek series has to be amazing, and not every Star Trek series has to be accepted by you personally. But I do want to clarify, and I just want to like understand when you say it's not Star Trek, you mean it's not Star Trek to you, right? Like you're not saying like it's not allowed to be
Yeah.
Star Trek. Yeah, just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify that so that no one gets angry at me later and sends a message like, "Why'd you have that Star Trek hater on?" on your
I love Star Trek.
no, we know it's true, but sometimes little sound bites or just like I just wanted to clarify that you were expressing your own opinion,
Blow it out of
and that
proportion.
you don't consider Lower Decks to be so abominable that it doesn't have the right to be a Star Trek by Star Trek standards, like the
Actually, what I
he's
will
like, actually,
say,
I do. I want to eject it from Star Trek.
I think he's backing up now.
Wait,
No,
I'll be
what I will say-
while you answer. I'll be right back because my cat wants to be let out. I have to let the cat out of the bag. I'll be right back.
what I will say is I loved like the inclusion of Tom Paris in the season 2 trailer. I look forward to seeing Robert Duncan McNeil voice that character again in the second season of Lower Decks. And I think basically like basically any scenes that don't include Riker in it, I'll be happy with.
I'll be honest with you, Riker. I do like Riker, but I think he's maybe not my least favorite TNG character. That would probably go to Wesley. But I do find Riker to be very. He's kind of like Kirk, but more bland in my opinion, and that's. I still love Riker, and I think that's just because Jonathan Frakes obviously loves playing Riker and obviously loves coming back in the shows. But yeah, I don't think he is a weaker character.
Yeah, I guess like like I was saying, like my frustration with it being such an overused sort of trope where Riker comes back at the end of the season will no longer be a frustration with the second season because it won't be at that point in the series.
Blue Sparrow says, Starfleet Boy, you have such opinionated guests. Just kidding, you have the best guests. Thank you, Blue.
It's a diverse discussion.
It is a diverse discussion. Marcelo, what were your overall impressions, if you don't mind repeating them, on the air of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2 and Prodigy?
Yeah, well, I'll start out with Prodigy first. The one thing that we've been hearing throughout the marketing is that this is the first Star Trek series in our modern times that will be aimed at children. So, with that being said, I'm really curious about how the stories will connect with us, and if the writers make us feel something as adults. And just based off of the trailer yesterday, I mean, I have a very small sample to go off like everybody else, but I think they will make us feel something, and they will make the show, at least, they will make us invest in it in some way. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I'm very intrigued to go on this journey that we've seen sneak peeks of in the trailer here. I don't know if it's ultimately going to work, but I'm intrigued.
Blue says it will teach the kids and remind adults what Star Trek is all about. I like that. I
Don't
kind of
think
feel
we
the
need
same.
reminders. But
Sometimes we do. I sometimes need a reminder. I can get caught up in my day to day, and I can get caught up in sort of like seeing the tree rather than the forest, so
No,
to speak. And I think it's nice sometimes to watch a show with, like, one of the things that I hope to do is to watch a show with, like, the to use a Scottish term, the wee ones in my family, so that I can kind of like be a guide for them. Like, it's just nice whenever someone's watching Star Trek for the first time, if you've got like a seasoned vet nearby to ask questions to and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that I'll have a lot of good answers, but also delights myself as I'm watching, seeing like perhaps like references to other Star Trek series, and like maybe even like being reminded of some of like the great moments throughout Star Trek through some kind of reference or something. It'd be cool.
no, I find myself, since I've been a part of these panels and these freeform discussions that I love being a part of.
Thank you.
But I got to such a point a couple weeks ago where I started feeling overwhelmed and choked with everybody's opinions. And I actually said to myself, I thought about leaving for a little bit and sort of just decompressing. And I, I actually sat down and I actually watched Star Trek Discovery again without a critical brain. And I enjoyed it so much, and I remembered why it was that I said yes to all these panels in the first place, because I love being a part of this community. And I often need to be reminded why I'm able to watch Star Trek without such a critical mind and without the obsession of canon and all the history of Star Trek. I'm not a Star Trek fan that is obsessed with every little minutia detail. I look at Star Trek as I look at Star Trek as eating a nice bowl of ice cream. If I eat too much of it, I get sick. But if I just enjoy it in small little gulps, I'm as happy as can be. I don't know if that made any sense.
Just a spoonful of Star Trek helps the medicine go down, Marcelo.
Yeah, there you go. So.
Robbie, what are your thoughts on Prodigy and Lower Decks?
So I was already excited for Prodigy because, well, Kate Mulgrew, she's just such a charismatic speaker, such an intelligent speaker. She always dumbfounds me with everything she says about Star Trek and the fandom, and especially Prodigy. You can really tell that she's energetic and enthused about the show, and happy to be working with such young people. Um, I wasn't surprised that it looked so beautiful, because I think all of Star Trek looks beautiful and is looking better nowadays too, in some respects. And I I didn't get a great feel of the characters just because it was kind of a teaser. So I'm looking forward to learning more about them. Um, I really like the design of the ship. It kind of reminded me of, this is going to sound weird, but kind of an old motorbike or something. It had uh, a retro look with the chrome silver.
Very cool. I like the motorbike reference.
And yeah, I just can't wait to hear Janeway and actually see her in the show.
Very cool.
Is
What did you guys all think of the ship?
is that NX-01 the NX-01, or is that another model?
It's not the NX-01. It's NX like two something blah blah blah.
Okay.
It places it somewhere. I read somewhere. Also, by the way, Trek Yards have done a first impressions, and so I haven't watched it yet, but 100% every answer you could possibly want to know about this ship will be on that stream. So I'm looking forward to going to watch that and hearing their thoughts because they do have they're steeped in the ship information. So it's a great place to go. But from what I could see, to me personally, the ship resembles the evolution of like the Intrepid class, which is what the Voyager is, along with the Sovereign class. Because I noticed that the struts or pylons that hold the nacelles, from certain angles, resemble like they start off thicker at the hull and kind of narrow out towards the point where they meet the nacelles. So I like that kind of design. And then from the back, they look just like razor thin, and I can see kind of like that idea. And the ship has like a silhouette that reminds me of if you guys have seen that movie Flight of the Navigator. It reminds me of the starship in the way that it's like this sleek kind of like cool shape. So I'm excited about the ship, and I think it does fit into. There's some concern, and I had like this observation as well about what is the meaning of like the design of the nacelles looks like that kind of TOS style that you see in the Kelvin films. So there's a lot of people buzzing about that. I think it was just obviously like a design choice, but it's also interesting to me because maybe there is a story point connected to it. Like sometimes these things are intentional, and so it's possible that like I look at like Star Trek in the current era of shows as like being very like, it's kind of influenced by what Kevin Feige and his team have done at the MCU. And so I feel like just like my gut feeling tells me that like at some point the Kelvin timeline and the Prime timeline, as it were, are going to be one thing. Like at some point there's going to be like an on-screen adventure, and like we won't talk about Star Trek in terms of timelines anymore. It'll just be Star Trek is just this, which I would be very happy about, because I think it's all Star Trek, and it's all like we're all talking about the same thing essentially.
No,
it's important in universe to know that the Calvin adventure takes place in another universe, because it does, but otherwise it's not important.
Yeah,
which they've already established in Discovery.
Right.
But I thought like the initial plan for the fourth film was that it was going to like tie into like bringing the characters into the Prime timeline or whatever. Also, when you were saying often there is like story ideas behind like the design of the ship and stuff like that. I thought like the registry number that it's called NX, and NX quite often means experimental. Like the Excelsior was NX 2000, but it was experimental ship.
I like also that when the Excelsior experimental phase completed, they actually changed the registry to NCC 2000. It was pretty cool. Which we never got with the. Is there an NCC? Did the Enterprise finish her life as NCC 01? Is that safe to assume? Because we'll never know. That might have been a point of interest to had Enterprise gone on a few more seasons, it may have earned its actual official registry.
I thought like the refit and its class design that Doug Dragster came up with was interesting.
Where they added a secondary hull. Yeah, it's very cool.
No,
Go ahead, Marcel.
If I just could say one thing. I
hope you say more than one thing, but yes.
This is one thing. If you to go back to one of your points, and if one day they decide to unify the Kelvin timeline with the Star Trek line proper, you know that I'm going to go running in the streets, singing, singing pure joy, because you know how much I love the Kelvin
Yes.
timeline.
You're
So
yes.
I will go running in the streets. Um,
I think many people will go running in the streets
yeah.
with you. There's a lot of there, and I went back and listened to my reactions. I did a reaction video when Star Trek Beyond came out, and I was surprised. I'm actually more fond of the film now that I've seen it a few times since its release. But I gave it a pretty high praise at the time. They really nailed it for what they were doing, and I always point this out, but what they did in terms of the in-world explanation as to how everything's happening is really flawless and really elegant because it connects everything together so perfectly by having the same character, the same being that we've known as Spock traverse this into this other universe, and like the character like ends there, like that's where Spock finishes, so it kind of like beautifully connects this like narrative in a weird way. It's very timey-wimey, as they say.
The way um, I read the nacelles was just this is just a headcanon really, but I would guess that Alex Kurtzman, because he worked in the Kelvin timeline, he's obviously fond of those films. I think he likes to tie Star Trek back to those films, so maybe that's why we got that little bit about the Kelvin films in Discovery, because it didn't seem important, but maybe that was important to Alex Kurtzman, and maybe the slightly more Kelvinish nacelles for the protostars just something that Alex Kurtzman kind of forwarded.
From a production standpoint, half of the production crew on Star Trek Discovery was ported over from Alex Kurtzman's 2009 films. So half of the people who actually work on Star Trek Discovery and possibly Star Trek Picard are from are imports from Bad Robot, and they just came over to Secret Hideout, Alex Kurtzman's production company. So I just wanted to point that out there. That's my little nerd nugget of the day.
I never knew that
I
actually.
Yeah,
It
I
makes
kept
it,
thinking
it follows. It makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't follow that deeply. And I always love hearing all
Yeah,
the
that's
stuff
where-
about the production, but yeah,
that's
it's
where,
I kept
yeah. Yeah, that's where mine. I'm sorry, that's where my knowledge comes from.
nice.
I tend to pay more attention to the production side of Star Trek than the nacelles thing. So sorry, guys.
No, it's great that you bring that to the table. Quick shout out to Jeremiah D, who agrees with you. I think that would be for the better Starfleet Boy. I really like the Calvin stuff, but especially their designs of the ships and interfaces, etc., to be really appealing. So yeah, uh, I like my favorite design period is the TOS film era period in terms of like the general look of Starfleet. That's the era that's my favorite, but I do also like the Kelvin look, and but I think I appreciate the TNG film era more. So Kelvin would probably be my third favorite, but it's all beautiful. I mean, like it does do. I always call it the Hot Rod Enterprise because it's like it looks like a badass hot rod version of the Enterprise. I would gladly in Star Trek Online pick that vessel, and I actually have the model. I love the design, so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
actually,
kept
I'm sorry. Go. You can go.
sorry.
Oh no. Actually, in the early production meetings for the 2009 Star Trek, the guy who actually designed the Enterprise, after a couple meetings with JJ, he actually said, "I want the Enterprise to look like a hot rod."
Oh, that's funny. Okay,
So yeah,
Cool.
there you go. Yeah, I'm sorry.
what were you gonna say, Dan?
No problem. Well, I kept before this discussion, I kept thinking to myself, if you're a Star Wars fan, probably like this is like an ideal time to come into Star Trek, because not only have you had like the pow, fast paced action of like the Kelvin timeline movies, you've also now got like the sort of multiverse that Star Wars has been doing. You know, like the animation spin-offs. That's sort of like the Clone Wars for Star Wars. Seems slightly similar. And even you know, in how they're producing the shows now, they're actually taking technology from that's been developed for the making of The Mandalorian, and
Yeah.
incorporating that into the production of Discovery.
It's nice to see that because George Lucas is like responsible for so many advancements in cinema technology, and he usually brought a lot of those techniques out during the release of his Star Wars films. So it's nice to see that Star Wars continues to be the kind of like we did it first. Now everyone can use this technology kind of thing, and that is one of the delightful things of following Star Wars is like if you also follow um, technology and film technology, there's a lot that you can learn about the history of film technology just through the Star Wars films, which is pretty cool.
Because like ILM came together and worked like on so many of the Star Trek films, but they came together like basically to produce Star Wars originally.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
Going back to Star Trek Prodigy and the ship, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I don't know if you guys have anything more to say about the ship, but I guess just the last thing is that ultimately, like I know we got into the weeds there and the minutia, but ultimately, like just personally, the nacelles are not important as long as they work. Like what they look like. Designs can be explained. You know, rehashing old designs or putting in designs can be explained. As you heard from this discussion, that can be explained on screen in numerous ways. And I'm sure if it's important to the story, they'll explain it. And if not, then that's just the way the design looks. So it is what it is. But just the nerd in me likes to speculate and pick apart like all these little choices because I really do love starships. I have them. I have all my little ships sitting around me at any given time. I can.
Little?
This one's definitely little. The tiny.
Tough
What was that
little
episode?
ship.
What was the?
Pocket size.
What was the episode called? It was called the littlest ship or the tiniest ship or something like that. Or
Oh,
One
the one where
one little ship.
it minimizes.
yeah, what's that called, Dan?
Oh,
One
I
little
can't
ship.
remember the
One
name.
little ship. I think it's one little ship. So I always imagine that this is the
Miles
little
O'Brien's in
runabout
there.
in there. Yeah, it's true. What are your what are your expect? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
Because I didn't comment on the ship. I just think
Oh, I'm sorry.
it
I'm
looks
sorry.
cool.
Thank you. Thanks.
I was just going to say it. I think it looks cool.
Oh, awesome.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
About the ship, we haven't really seen much of it. We've seen the bridge, and I look forward to seeing quarters, hopefully. But I think just from the exterior, it's probably, if I were to put it under a branch of Starship, in my opinion, it looks like the coolest Star Trek ship, along with the Defiant.
It's high praise.
That's
Just
big
from
praise.
the kind of silver chrome look and the kind of old style nacelles with a Voyager style hull. Yeah, I think it looks really cool.
Do we have any word on who actually designed the thing?
I don't know if they said that in the panel. If they did, I missed that
I mean,
part.
I don't mean to give you guys more juice to talk to keep us in the weeds, but I'm just curious.
No, it's okay. Let me see if I can Google it and find out real quick. But I found a high res version of the ship. I'm just gonna show it real quick while I do the other googling, and you guys can talk about maybe anything you see here that is interesting. Where is this thing?
So it's just called the Protostar, is it?
Yeah, the
Oh,
U.S.
okay.
Oh, that's
his
not
na-
it.
That's his name? I didn't even know that. That's a really cool name.
Here, it's Twitter. I have to share it from Twitter. You guys saw a glimpse of my Chrome tabs. Uh-oh.
That's okay.
Timber
Don't
has
worry.
eyes closed.
or what is it? Clear your internet history, Jeff. The Fifth Doctor's first episode. All right, that's look, and it's my background too. I forgot. All right, I'm gonna go look up who designed.
We have a temporal incursion here.
And
What's that? Oh, here, I'll zoom in.
X 76884.
4, 7, 6, 8. It's interesting.
Here you can see the USS Protostar there. It has this element here. The first time I saw this was on the Enterprise, the Discovery Enterprise, like a sort of like always lit, larger. I don't know if those are windows or if those are actual lights that light, like headlights.
Where is that on the Discovery? Because I don't.
Not on the
It's-
Discovery. It's on the Enterprise, the Discovery
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then you're supposed to be able to see how big the ship is based on the tallness of some of these windows. So that's a pretty big, large dome of glass.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so like,
So it's called the USS Protostar, even though I would have thought that USS was a prefix that was indicative of Starfleet or the Federation.
I would guess this is some kind of lost Starfleet ship in the Delta Quadrant, and that's why it has the Janeway hologram. We'll have to find out.
Oh, that's interesting.
but this unibody style reminds me of that's what reminds me of the Voyager, I guess. And then the nacelles, the pylons, remind me of the Sovereign class, the Enterprise E style. And then these are this element, this like kind of cover or hood that makes it look more kind of like a airplane nacelle, because they're called nacelles on airplanes as well. So it resembles that more than like what we've seen kind of in quote unquote the Prime timeline, and I think that's what people are all kind of wondering about. And then this is interesting. It'll be neat to see it. I think there's a shot of it with the lights on, and this looks like a hatch. So it's not a large ship either, but it's not small. So I think it's the size of like a bird of prey is what a lot of people are saying.
Doesn't look like it has many windows.
No, it looks very.
Someone's
looks-
sirens are going off.
Oh yeah, those are mine. Sorry, I'm gonna turn off my light for a minute.
Oh wow.
I think the rear, the aft of the nacelle looks really quite TOS.
Yeah. Yeah, with the tapering, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. USS Protostar, and then I don't think there's. What were you saying about the USS? Because it is a Starfleet vessel, so it would have USS.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, the main characters are not like Starfleet or Federation, but they're aboard a Federation
They find
starship.
the impression I get is that the ship was somehow abandoned or lost or scuttled, perhaps, and so these characters find the ship, and it's their ticket out of the one of the characters, two of the characters, maybe all of the characters are on some kind of penal colony or a prison in the Delta Quadrant, and it looks like the impression we all got in some other discussions was that this is some kind of dilithium planet or a dilithium mine, because like those red crystals resemble perhaps dilithium, which would be interesting. There's a lot of dilithium.
Okay, I'm gonna guess against that. I think it's a bit of a stretch.
It might just be some other kind of geode or crystal. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, could be.
But they are
You
on
know-
a prison. It is established that they are the main characters, or some of the characters start out on a prison, and this is how they escape from the prison. So it's unclear or unknown how the ship got here, what its history is, or what its purpose is, or anything like that.
How many?
I was-
How many? How many episodes is this gonna be?
I don't know if they said, but I would reckon it's 8 or 10, probably 10.
Okay.
I was
10
thinking
seems
with
to be
like
the magic number.
the crystal sort of exterior of the planet. I was thinking it could even be like a Tholian planet or something, or like
Well, it's in the Delta Quadrant, supposedly, so it would have to be
Yeah.
some kind of Delta Quadrant, unless the Tholians secretly have colonies in the Delta
That's
Quadrant,
what
which
I'm
I
thinking.
wouldn't mind. That would be cool. Jeremiah says, I hope to see Devore and the Hirogen in Prodigy. There are so many cool Delta species that they should include from Voyager. I hope no Borg, though, because they are overdone to me. So what do you got? What Voyager? I haven't finished Voyager, but I don't mind spoilers. It's on me. I haven't seen. It's been out for like 30 years, and I didn't
I haven't
watch
finished
it.
it either, so don't feel
Okay,
bad.
so yeah, don't worry about spoilers. But Robbie and Dan, maybe if you could lead the way, who would you like to see if in a Delta Quadrant set TV series? You know, like on this Nickelodeon show, come back from Voyager. And Jeremiah, who else would you like to see other than who was Devore, by the way? I can't remember the character Devore.
I'm just going to give a
Alien.
jokey answer because I'm not the most familiar with Voyager, but I'd like to see Harry Kim out there somewhere.
Still dancing.
I got some, yeah, I got an answer. How about this? How about some aliens that we've never seen before, huh? Novel
I'm sure.
answer, right?
I'm actually sure. I'm 100 because it's animation. I'm 100% sure we'll get that in this series. So you'll definitely see that. But like, just saying like the Kazon could totally come back and
That'll be
like
cool. Kazon
maybe
would
the
be cool.
Acompans. Did they get wiped out? I forget.
I don't think so.
No.
They didn't get destroyed.
I've-
Why do I think they're gonna get destroyed? That's funny.
No.
I really like, just from the teaser, I like the vibe that they're on this hostile planet. I would guess that they're wrongfully imprisoned and they have to kind of band together and escape this place where I'm guessing some nefarious alien race is holding them hostage or prisoner for some reason that isn't really justifiable.
I think with you haven't said like how like the crew like finds the ship and stuff like that. Like even then,
They haven't said that.
you know, that's what's that?
They haven't said. Yeah, they haven't said. We don't know how they even find the ship or anything.
Yeah, but they find the ship.
Yeah, that's the impression that
Right.
they're gonna find the ship. Yeah.
So even with that simple sentence, you're already getting an impression that it's going to be quite an adventure.
Right.
Yeah.
And regarding alien species, I think my answers would be, well, there's already been some, including the Kazon actually, that have been referenced in season 3 of Discovery. They appear as little names on maps at the Federation headquarters. But I think for this series, there are basically two answers that I would like to see, both of whom and both of which start with a V. Vidians and Vadwar.
Vidians. Were Vidians the organ stealers? Because that's who Blue Sparrow wants to see.
Yeah, and the phage was cured.
Oh, okay.
We'd no longer have the phage because of the think tank
Yeah,
in Voyager.
yeah, those guys, the Vidians were terrifying. Those guys
they're
are terrifying.
Pretty scary. I want to take this moment to shout out the Janeway podcast. If you guys like Star Trek Voyager, go check that out. I'll be on the next episode. I think it's gonna drop like this week. So at some point it's gonna be on, and I do the episode where Harry Kim in season 2 non sequitur, where Harry Kim gets thrown into an alternate timeline and has to get back to his timeline. So
And
hopefully
even
everyone
if
will check it out.
even if you don't really like Voyager, should listen because I'm not a big fan and I'm still listening because Sohail is going to be discussing it. And
Oh,
whenever
thank you.
Sohail is talking about Trek, it's something you want to hear.
Oh, thank
So
you.
in the chat, Jeremiah's said, I was trying to remember the name of the episode that the Devourer are in, and he's clarified its counterpoint and reminded me. I thought it was like checkpoint. I was like, no, it's not called that, not quite. But yeah, the Devourer is the species that hated telepaths, and one dude had a love-hate thing with Janeway. They were quite, they wore all like black suits and stuff like that, but they looked quite humanoid and quite human.
Oh, very cool. The Devore were the species that hated telepaths. I don't remember that episode. What season was that?
Oh, is that the
5.
Oh,
Oh
this
my
I'm
God.
I'm just starting
That's not.
season 5, so I will meet
That's not.
Oh,
the
Do you
divorce
think
soon.
Prodigy has kind of made you try to get through Voyager a bit faster?
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna
good
I'm gonna
question.
trudge through to get caught up on Voyager because I could just feel there's gonna be a lot of relevant information from the series that will make enrich the watching of Prodigy because Kate
Mm.
Mulgrew's so excited about it and stuff like that. It's not dark out yet. What happened? What did I do? Oh, because this is Starfleet Boy After Dark. No, that's why I created a whole new channel is so that I could just have these like impromptu discussions about whatever,
Wait a
or
minute. Wait a
or
minute.
watch-alongs.
Wait a minute. Where am I? I don't know where I am. Is this? Where am I? I'm just on some random stream somewhere. I don't know where I
Yes, we're on
am.
a random stream. PJ, if you want the link, I'll send it to you if you're available. But if you're not, that's cool. But what was I saying? I forgot. Oh yeah, that just yeah. Yes, Robbie, I am gonna race through. I'm gonna do it. Damn it, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get to the end on
Endgame.
time. End game. That's it. There you go. I'm gonna get to the end game on time before Prodigy starts. But yeah, so I'm super hype about Prodigy. So yeah, it has motivated me to go faster on my rewatch.
Yeah, but for me, the selling point of the panels was the lower decks presentation because just for me personally, lower decks was the Star Trek show that when it was first announced, I was a little bit scared of because I didn't know how Mike McMahon was going to treat the material of Star Trek, but I was thoroughly pleased with the way that he infused all the Star Trek jokes and all the references. That didn't bother me. That didn't grain on my soul like it did with you, Dan. And I thoroughly enjoy Lower Decks so much. I said this before, but to me, it's like the piece of the Star Trek universe that I was missing, but that I needed that I never knew I was missing. So
Real quick,
May I?
real quick before you go, Dan.
Sorry.
I just have to ask Robbie to be in command for a minute and make it show because I have to tend to something. And Marcelo, before you ask, I made Robbie in charge because he's never been on a Starfleet Boy After Dark, so it's like kind of like, well, he's only been on like one other one before, so yeah. Wait,
wasn't
I
there.
don't think you've ever been on one. Anyways, regardless, Robbie, you're in charge. Make it show and carry on, Dan. What were you gonna say?
I was thinking, can I ask you a question, Marcelo?
sure, go ahead, no
I
problem.
was wondering, like, do you think like the number of references that are made in Lower Decks sets it sort of apart from the other Star Trek series, or do you think there's quite a lot of that in the other Star Trek series already?
No, no. For me, the fact that they make all those references just makes it fun. I don't
Mm.
necessarily think of it as an annoying thing, or I don't actually compare Lower Decks to other incarnations of Star Trek. I mean, I like I
Okay.
said, I don't go into Star Trek in that type of way. I don't approach it clearly the same way
Mm.
that you do, or the same way Robbie might. And for me,
Mm.
it's just fun because my favorite era of Star Trek is TNG. So to see Mariner and Tendi and Rutherford spout off all these references that I
Mm.
know, I just get a kick out of it. Um, now you know, but I do acknowledge that for some people like yourself and many other people, it may be annoying because one of the first things that they said about Lower Decks when it was first announced, they said that it's going to be exactly like Rick and Morty, and I did see that like within the first two episodes, but by episode three, I didn't care. I was like,
Mm.
this is Star Trek to me, and that's all that matters. And I really didn't. I really tuned out all that negative criticism
I think,
because. No, go ahead, Rob.
sorry, I think you can, even if you really dislike Lower Decks, I personally don't, you can't really call it anything like Rick and Morty. I mean, Mike McMahon was involved with Rick and Morty, yes, but he wasn't in
Right,
charge of Rick and
right.
Morty, and it has similar animation style, but I don't get a Rick and Morty vibe at all from Lower Decks, and when I watch it, I just, with all those references, I just feel the love that Mike McMahon has for TNG era.
Yeah, no, but I no. What I was trying to say is all the dissenters, all the people that were against Lower Decks at before and at its launch said that the show was just going to be a clone of Rick and Morty just because Mike McMahon was on
Oh,
Rick and
right.
Morty. That's what I was trying to just to clarify myself a little bit there. But
But
that's what I was going.
even what they said during the panel, I thought like that's like it's just like whitewashing what's happened basically, which is like what CBS have been doing basically. When like in the panel they said, oh, there, you know, all the when we were released there were all the positive comments, everybody loved the show, you know, which is clearly like not accurate to actually what happened. And it's very similar to like the evidence, for example, that the shows that have been coming out, it's been proved that CBS have been removing on like the likes of Amazon, like comments with like 1 star and like negative comments. So like they only are interested in the positive comments, and that to me, you know, it's not Star Trek. It's not respecting edict that you know different people have different ideas, and I think they are doing that with the creation, thankfully, of the shows that they are making. Which seems to be like, you know, they're basically making a show, you know, to fit everyone's tastes, which I think is a great thing.
I don't disagree
On the
with you,
other
Dan.
hand.
I think that definitely does go against IDIC, but I think any big TV franchise or any TV show is going to want to look good. I mean, if Discovery had been, I'm sure Discovery would say the same thing. They wouldn't talk about any of the negative stuff you never really
Yeah.
hear. Even DS9 era, TNG era, they wouldn't talk about any of the negative stuff because, you know, why would they? They're making the show. They want to talk about all the good that comes out of it.
Well,
And yes,
well,
people will
you
have.
say
Sorry.
sorry, but you say that, but then like you've got like the likes of DS9, which has just done the documentary What We Left Behind, and they actually
Yeah.
read comments about like how, you know, the negative comments that were coming
but
in
keep
at the
in
time.
mind, Deep Space Nine documentary is a different perspective. It's not official Star Trek thing. It's a documentary about Star Trek, so it's going to give you. I agree with
It isn't
Robbie.
officially
I agree with
licensed
Robbie that
documentary.
there's no reason CBS should ever like post negative comments or say that our shows are doing poorly. They should be optimistic about their shows, and they should try to like course correct to maybe not please everyone, but to at least make a product that's more you know, widely accepted. But I also kind of always like that Star Trek pushes the envelope and gives you things you don't expect and maybe challenges your ideas. And then I'll just say one more thing, which is personally, in my experience, Dan, just about Lower Decks, like I see way fewer negative comments and negative criticism, or even just like hatred for the show. Like you're an exception actually to the rule that I've seen in my journeys. Most people are like they were worried about it perhaps, but once they started watching it, tuned into like the you know, like the show and just like kind of love it. I think I would argue, and I hate to say this because I love Star Trek Picard and I wish this was the case for Star Trek Picard, but I would argue that Lower Decks was actually the most widely received of the new era shows by fans, but by all types of fans. So I saw a totally different landscape than your impression.
Although you say that without having access to viewing figures and stuff.
No, and so do you. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that it's accurate. I'm just saying my feelings, based on what I've seen on the internet and just like in general interactions. My personal feeling is that, and then also you have to kind of like add that with like kind of CBS is the most excited about Lower Decks, and there is a lot of excitement that you see from them about Lower Decks. Like they're really hyping it, and they, you know, and they do all the panels and everything like that. So
And
maybe
to
that's
that,
an
I'd like
indicator of how popular it is as well.
to that, I'd like to add the like regarding like how excited like the makers of the show are. I've seen quite a few places like on Facebook and Twitter where the Star Trek author David Mack has been like really sort of raving about Prodigy, having worked on it, and he's actually worked as well on the like
Oh,
soft
wow.
discoveries and stuff like that. And I
Yeah,
don't
he's really
remember like
excited about
his level
Prodigy.
of enthusiasm about
I
like
didn't.
the previous productions. So I think that's like a good sign, maybe.
Yeah, it's really
I
nice to have David Mack and people like I think um oh is
Kristen
it
Beyer.
Duke Drexler that's back for
Uh,
Picard?
yeah, and then Dayton Ward, John Van Siders, I think his name is. Like a lot of people who you would consider like alumni from previous Trek, and authors of Trek books are involved
Hmm.
with the newer shows, which is really reassuring.
I had no idea that David Mack was involved with Prodigy. The stock
Hmm.
of the show for me just went up a couple points. I don't know what he's gonna do, but maybe he's like a consultant in the writers' room. I would imagine. I guess. Okay. Cool.
They didn't.
I believe so.
I don't know if they revealed his exact, but I would imagine he's at least a executive producer or
Okay.
consultant or something like that. It's just nice to see the influence of these esteemed Trek people, with newer Trek, because you want to get some of that. I think it's with any being really cheesy here, with any enterprise, you want to have an infusion of people who have years and years of experience with like fresh ideas and people who are new, so that you can create a product that is balanced. So I think that's exciting.
Personally, I'd
Reinforces the
love to
faith.
see.
Sorry.
Love to see.
Reinf-
Personally, love. Sorry.
Sorry, reinforces the faith in heart.
Personally,
Nice.
I'd love to see Star Trek return to a state where they were bringing in not only those sorts of people, but also like maybe like sci-fi authors that haven't written for Star Trek, like they did with the original series, for example. I think that
Yeah,
would be
like you're
cool.
talking about, like with Harlan Ellison and
Yeah,
who else
so
did
many.
one? Asimov didn't do one, but he would have been great to do a Star Trek episode, and so would Arthur C. Clarke have. Is Arthur C. Clarke already passed? Right? I don't remember.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of great current.
I
You're
believe
right.
so.
There's a lot of great authors currently. Who are your favorite? Like, who would be a new, like, not necessarily a Star Trek writer, but like just a sci-fi author who you like, that you would like to see write for Star Trek, and which show?
Does it matter if he's dead or not?
No, no, current. It has to be a current. Like,
Oh.
for example, the writer of the Hunger Games is considered sci-fi, right?
Well, I was really interested in seeing the guy that like Noah Hawley, the guy that basically created or co-created um, the
Fargo.
Marvel series and worked on Fargo, yeah. And, but I especially liked
Legion 2.
a Marvel series they did. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. But it sort of like tied into the X-Men and stuff like that. I thought it was a really cool series. And he was, yeah, announced to be working on like the upcoming Star Trek film, and then apparently Paramount passed on that at the very last minute or something.
I don't know if Neil
There's been
Gaiman would
a
have
few like that.
an interest, but I could see Neil Gaiman doing a Star Trek Prodigy story. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt you, Dan.
I was just saying, there's been a few like that, like what happened with Quentin Tarantino, like that he was going to be about to be working on the Star Trek film, and then they dropped that idea.
I think the first time that I was really hyped for a new Star Trek film was definitely the Noah Hawley idea, because I really liked his idea of I think he was getting an original crew, and not a big bad, but a virus, which obviously
Hmm.
I'm glad that didn't happen, but he seemed to have a really interesting idea. I still have full faith in the new Star Trek film that's coming out, but I'll still be kind of sad we didn't get that film.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not well versed in actors, so the only people that I have in my head right now are showrunners from other shows. um, so Yeah, I don't like. I'm a Kelvin guy, so if I could just no, yeah, well, yeah. So I would love like this. This will never happen because he's working on his stuff. He just signed a deal with Netflix. He's got stuff to contend with. But I would love sometime in the future for. This is gonna sound so dickish. I mean, you probably know what I'm gonna say. I would love for Bob Orsi to come back and write an episode of Star Trek, like specifically like Discovery. But that's never going to happen because
Well,
he's
I thought his film idea was really interesting to do with the Klingons.
yeah. Yeah, no, actually, I've been actually trying to hunt down his his original script for Star Trek 3, the one that got rejected and the one that got him canned reportedly. So I don't know if I'm ever going to find it one day, but I'm dying to read what his version of for lack of a better word, Star Trek Beyond would have been.
Apparently, it was too cerebral, which is so stupid to hear about,
Yeah, it's
especially
dumb.
when the cage was considered too cerebral.
Yeah.
And now we're getting a show all about what the cage presented. It's just kind of like Star Trek has bit the network back in the butt, really. So many years later, we're getting a show about that rejected pilot.
Blue wants
Yeah.
to know, as Star Trek adds more shows, do you guys think people will just chill out in their corner of Star Trek and fans will chill out?
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it's funny though. I do think that like earlier Dan touched on IDIC and said that something about like there should be the allowance for all kinds of opinions, and I 100% agree that in the discourse or in the discussion that there should definitely be an allowance for that. But I also see Robbie's point again that like you're never gonna see that coming from official sources. Like it's always gonna be like, and that's fair. It's not right for Star Trek to have to, kind of like pander to something that might not be true, because we also have to remember that these shows are in flux. They're not finished yet. We don't have the luxury of like knowing how Discovery's going to end, how Picard's going to end, or how Lower Decks or any of these things are going to end. So it's kind of like one of those things that we just have to kind of like ride the wave a little on. But yeah, I do think that in the discourse, though, I 100% agree, even though it can be painful sometimes to like talk to someone you disagree with. I think though at the end of the day, when you do, if you do it politely and with respect, that you can come out the other end, both sides of the argument, having learned something. So yep.
You know what's really sad is that you could be labeled a hater, Dan, and you're not. You absolutely love Star Trek. You just have a problem with Lower Decks, and that's fine. You're excited for Prodigy, and you're enjoying Discovery and Picard.
Well,
And
to be fair, I'm excited about Lower Decks actually as well.
yeah, see,
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
people label people as haters so easily. When it's you're not a hater if you're respectful and you're kind and you're not just completely taking the mickey out of Star Trek, all new Star Trek, and you're just not behaving in a respectful manner. And too easily people will just blindside themselves to anyone who has just a little critique about any new Star Trek. I have my critiques about Star Trek from old to new, and we all do.
Yep.
But we
It's-
also
yeah,
all love it.
And right from like the first episode that was sort of you know impressed the studio that made it to proceed with any sort of Star Trek series, i.e., Where No Man Has Gone Before. There's the huge error that clearly like people had to critique with at that time. It was like James R. Kirk. So like errors and critiques and stuff like that have been part of Star Trek as long as it's existed, and I've thought like certainly like to do with shows that have started up new. There's obviously a long tradition with that, where like even like the TOS cast, found it hard to accept TNG when it first came out,
And then
as did the fans.
you had DeForest Kelly going on to do Encounter at Farpoint, and I think he took the standard pay. He did it just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
What a
It's
wonderful
great.
man he was.
Yeah, cheers to all those folks. I mean, ultimately, I guess to bring it back on track, we talked a lot about Star Trek Prodigy. Do you guys have any other thoughts about it before we kind of wrap up on Lower Decks? Because I don't think we spent enough time on Lower Decks.
I got one.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you think it's all going to end? What do you think the storyline of this first season of Prodigy is going to be?
My gut tells me that well, the first season, I think I have no idea, but like my gut tells me that the long term game, the long game would be that somehow these guys are able to establish a division of Starfleet in the Delta Quadrant and become official members of Starfleet. So the Motley Crew, through these adventures with the holographic training program, and like, somehow maybe along the lines in the future, Janeway somehow a signal from this ship gets back to the Alpha Quadrant, and maybe the Admiral herself gets involved to go and retrieve it, and decides to leave the ship to them. Maybe she is like, oh, we have to go and get this. So they're racing against Janeway in a way throughout the series, and maybe it ends with her giving them an official commission and a ship because they've done so well and they've proven to be so awesome. But that's just I don't
That's a
know.
long game.
That's the long game. I don't know, like over how many seasons, but
I would speculate the opposite, where I don't think they'll be joining Starfleet. I think there's been so much that Kurtzman and crew have done since like Discovery started up, that concentrating basically on moving the story away from not Starfleet so much. Where even at the very start, where you've got like all like the Kuvma and all the Klingons, so that clearly like wasn't starting from the perspective of Starfleet. And then I think Lower Decks may be more of an exception in that case. With like you said earlier, Picard being like a sort of divergent crew already, and clearly again the same with Prodigy.
I mean, Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Lower Decks to me feel like to me, I've been waiting for I've been waiting for a show to come that takes place further along in the storyline, that takes place aboard the USS Enterprise, and that show has yet to appear. We are going to get an awesome Enterprise series, but it's set in the past. It's not set, it's not set in the in-world future. So I haven't gotten that series. So I've kind of accepted that, like Starfleet, like Deep Space Nine and Voyager kind of opened up the world to, explore other vessels. And I think that's actually wonderful. So I kind of put Prodigy and Discovery and even Picard into that same category. It's just an expansion of the universe. But I'm waiting. I'm hungry for that Enterprise show that's set in a time period that we don't know anything about, and with a new crew, and to have like the, kind of like the new adventures aboard the flagship, which I consider that to be the Enterprise. So always, but who knows? But I would say that, sorry, one more thing. I would say that Discovery is very Starfleety. If it doesn't start out that way, but like, I mean, it spawns the whole "We Are Starfleet" thing, and that became a movement, ironically, and it's like a whole like a whole thing on the internet, a hashtag and a meme and stuff like that. So yeah, so Discovery definitely did that.
Do you ever think? First of all, I personally don't think that Alex and his team are ever going to do this. But do you ever think that they would consider rebooting either? This is, to me, this is heresy, but I wouldn't put it past anybody. Do you think that it's possible
Rebooting
that
TNG.
no, not that.
Ah.
I do you think it would ever be possible if they decide to reboot either Enterprise to finish it properly or DS9?
I kind of want the only way I'd want to see Deep Space Nine back again, and even then I'd be quite skeptical, is like an animated seventh season just to wrap
Okay.
everything up, and no, eighth
You mean
season,
you
but
mean eighth season? Yeah.
but
Um,
even
Which
then
the
I would,
basic.
I don't see any
Sorry.
reason to reboot Deep Space
Yeah.
Nine. I do see an opportunity. I wouldn't mind a limited series that finishes Enterprise. That would be actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
With the original cast, and like even if it's only 10 episodes, like
Yeah.
but they wrap up everything nicely and give it like a better send off than These Are the Voyages. I would appreciate that for Enterprise because I did enjoy. I ended up enjoying the series. I had a lot of reservations about it when it first aired. But as far as Deep Space Nine, I think that needs a remaster more than a reboot.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that Alex and his team will ever go there. But I was just curious to see what you guys were going to say about that. They're
Dan,
probably
what did you think about that?
never going to think about it.
Well, I won't comment on that, but I was thinking they've sort of gone like already sort of the route of a continuation of DS9 in an animated form with the segments of the What We Left Behind documentary that featured that.
I think Strange New Worlds will do something that I think Discovery may have been in my maybe not intentionally, but like was kind of setting out to do, which is as society grows further and further away from like the kind of general values of the 60s. There's a lot of things that especially younger people I've noticed in my discussions you're an exception, Robbie, but most people are very turned off by TOS and don't really like want to see it. They either don't like the way it looks or again, there's just too many cringy things with like Kirk, and making out with everyone and just like no clear permission, or things like that. There's a lot of like ambiguity in the show that like is problematic. And a lot of people were thinking Discovery was going to do that, but I actually think Strange New Worlds will be a new entry point of that era. So Strange New Worlds can like kind of help newer fans like understand what that era was like, and it'll be flashy and pretty and like
A little bit better.
and then also it won't be as cringy perhaps in some ways, but also I would like to say that like I would encourage anyone to watch the original series just from like if you really enjoy Star Trek and you're getting into it and you think you want to do more, just from a perspective of like knowing where Star Trek began and stuff like that, because the core values are in fact there. And if you can look past some of the cringy stuff, there's a lot of really great stuff. I don't know. What do you think, Robbie? Do you agree with that?
I'd agree. The good definitely outweighs the bad. It would really be a shame if loads of people watch Strange New Worlds, young people that hadn't ever watched TOS, because you're watching half a story. I mean, if we have any cameos, any references, it's just going to swoop over younger people's heads that maybe haven't watched it. And TOS, I
Well,
would say that,
if it's done well, actually, it would be the prequel. So actually, they wouldn't need to like reference too much. Like it has an opportunity. I mean, yes. Let's say Captain Kirk does appear on the show. People might. It's hard for me to believe this, but people might not know who Captain Kirk is. Like, and that's a possibility. But I do think that the show could still be a good entry point to that era. Like, it sounds to me like they're gonna get the spirit right, like of doing quote unquote Strange New Worlds. Like they've already got like a Western episode that they've hinted at, and like just there's a lot of things that it sounds like it's gonna do that kind of like will update but also mirror the style of the original series. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
No, with me as far as Strange New Worlds, I would. Well, I'm going to steal this quote from the Trek collector, because I interviewed him like last week, and he said that it would be so cool to him if Star Trek: Strange New Worlds would end with Kirk taking the Enterprise from Captain Christopher Pike. Do you guys think that that is possible? Like I don't want to see James T. Kirk until the very last season of Star Trek: Strange New World, if it's possible.
I don't want to get into this too much because I kind of don't want to like like the end definitely has to include Captain Kirk in some way. I think you're right, like the end of the series, but I'm kind of excited because there are a lot of possibilities because of season 2 of Star Trek Discovery and what we've learned about Pike knowing his future in a
Okay.
way. So there's a lot of possibilities of what could happen, and maybe what we saw, maybe there's a lot more to what we saw in the menagerie than what we thought
Okay.
was going on.
I got one more for
Sure.
you. Just one more on this topic. Do you think that it's gonna like they're not gonna actually retcon Pike's ultimate fate, right? Because for some reason I'm thinking, you know what, Akiva Goldsman just might have the cojones to do something that brash, but I don't think he would.
I think that would be absolutely horrible if they retconned it. I wouldn't mind if they kind of altered what Pike was thinking, maybe, but you can't retcon that ending. You know,
Okay.
even Akiva Goldsman, I think he would
No,
know
he's not
that
gonna
that
do
would
that.
cause a huge outrage in so many
No.
people.
Outrage aside, it just doesn't seem likely based on what I've seen of Akiva Goldsman
No.
from interviews and his work.
Yeah.
Like he seems to have a reverence for those older stories, and I don't think he would
He's not gonna do
want to like retcon. I mean, retcons are not always bad, right? Like sometimes a retcon can actually fix something, and certainly Star Trek has retconned. I can't think of any particular moment at this time, but certainly Star Trek has retconned things. Before, so it's allowed to do it if it wants to. But I don't think it'll be the case. I do think that like the show will kind of like, you know, we kind of start in the middle of like there's never like the original series, unlike the Next Generation, doesn't begin from the beginning. Like these guys were flying around for a couple weeks together before we start following their adventures. Unlike TNG, we know it's their very first mission together. We don't see the tour of the ship or anything like that, but we follow. That's what's a unique thing about TNG is we actually follow them from the start of the story to Nemesis, where they get no, they don't even get decommissioned. They keep going. That's right. Never mind. Bad point. But
No, but
TNG did that, and TOS didn't. TOS just started. Like it was just like we were there on an adventure one day.
Yeah, but DS9 and Voyager were similar to TNG, and
Right. They
know,
followed the same formula. No, I'm saying before TNG,
Start.
it was Star Trek just kind of started. Like it didn't. It didn't.
Well, yeah, like the animated series follows the template of the original series. Like you
Yeah.
know, nothing's really starting. They've always been out there, sort of. Yeah.
In a weird way, the motion picture gives us that satisfaction of seeing the Enterprise for the first time and things like that with the refit, right? Like, so you do kind of get that later, but you don't get it. That's what I would love to see. I don't want it to be about Captain Kirk necessarily, but I would like to see just like, if not see Captain Kirk, just have like really, really,
subtle hints.
yeah, Boatrek just pointed out a good one. Sorry, going back to retcon, women being captain is a good retcon. Like,
Yeah, Captain Hernandez.
that's like a great, that exactly.
That's a
So
good
I
point.
appreciate that. Yeah, the USS Columbia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a course correction, which is positive, and it's okay. Like that's fine. We'll just assume people were crazy in TOS, but but I would like to see just like little hints of like just hearing about Kirk in passing. Maybe someone on the Enterprise is a little obsessed with Kirk because he's already making a reputation for themselves. And then at the end it would be nice. It kind of would, but again, I don't want it to take away from Captain Pike. it is a tough thing to do, but it would be nice to see Kirk seeing the Enterprise for the first time, maybe with Pike by his side. Maybe that's how they do it. I don't know, and then they make
I
out. No,
think
I'm just kidding. Ignore the last part.
Really? Come
No,
on.
I'm
For
just.
Strange New
Come on.
Worlds After Dark.
It's a strange new world after all.
I think it might be like a challenge to sort of like warm the audience to like recast Kirk if they were just going to bring him in the very end. Like they have already like obviously recast like the main characters in the Kelvin timeline and the likes of Pike and Spock and Number One, but they have been introduced over quite a like string of episodes. It's not just like suddenly.
Here's something
Oh,
I found on the web.
that's
According to
Alexa
Wikipedia
talking to me for
.org.
some reason. Alexa, stop.
No, but
Robbie
I
has
would-
his set up to respond
Yeah.
to computer, which is
Yeah.
kind
Yeah, I
of cool.
just changed it last week.
But, I would probably, if I was if I was a part of Strange New Worlds, I would suggest to Akiva and Alex, if they wanted to do that, I would introduce James T. Kirk before the last the last season to give the actor who is going to take the Enterprise time to grow on the audience. So I would introduce him
It
one
might just
season
be
before
a
the end.
it might just be a Luke and the Mandalorian thing though, because honestly, like, do I want another series with James T. Kirk and crew? No, I'm done.
No.
Like, I definitely wanted the Pike series. Like, personally, I'm just being personally like Pike series is cool, but I don't know if I care. Like, again, it'd be
Well-
nice to just have I think the actor just has to be really good for the finale. What were you gonna say, Dan?
I hope if they do that the CGI will be better than it was for Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian because I thought that was awful.
Oh, really? I thought it was good.
Yeah, it
but I
was
did see on YouTube
so
someone.
rushed.
I liked it.
So
Um, PJ has a great idea. I want to see Robert April. I would love a Robert April like
That's a
story.
good
Actually,
idea.
that would be a really cool idea. Isn't it crazy how old the Enterprise is? That she's had like Robert April is truly the first captain of Enterprise Constitution class,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Because
the-
he was
the
a captain.
1701.
He was a captain in the animated series, wasn't he? Or,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they made him look like Gene
The kind of clock
Roddenberry.
incident.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he
Um,
doesn't so much look at like Gene Roddenberry in the animated series. He was in the series finale of that show, the Counterclock Incident. But like they included him, Robert April, in like the Star Trek chronology
Oh, you're
and the
right,
Star
you're
Trek
right.
Encyclopedia, and in
And
that
they
they
used a
made him
picture
look
of
like Roddenberry.
Gene Roddenberry. That's what it was. That's what I was thinking of. My bad. Yeah, Robert April's adventures would be really cool too, because that's uncharted territory. And if you're gonna go back, I guess since you already have Archer, why not fill in all the? Let's get them all in there. In which case, I think a Captain Harriman and a Captain Garrett miniseries would be awesome additions. Like I used to say, I'd like to see these things as short tracks, and I know a lot of folks, including PJ, believe that that's it. Short tracks is over. They're not going to really put any more effort into that. But I think short tracks is a brilliant opportunity to kind of do like little hints or peeks into that, and so that would be cool.
Well, the way that Short Tracks was created, it was to sort of like keep momentum and keep the
For subscribers.
interest in the in Star Trek Discovery and stuff like that.
Also,
that
keeping
was-
keeping subscribers who a lot of people will sometimes subscribe for their favorite show and then opt out. Well, it's on hiatus, so like doing something like where you're promising a release every few weeks or something like that will entice people to remain as subscribers. So I think it worked on
Yeah,
that level as well.
But my point was, that was what the intention was to begin with. But now they're already like managing to do that with the other series.
yeah,
Like they've created.
so that's why a lot of people speculate that Short Treks is kind of on the back burner. But I have faith of the heart that maybe they could do a web series or something. I don't know.
Even if you don't have a short trek with Robert April and Jonathan Archer, I'd just be really happy. Imagine if
Oh,
you
that'd
had
be
just
cool.
a cameo of both of them in the first episode of Strange New Worlds. Fans would go
Oh,
wild.
that'd be awesome. That would be really
That would be
cool.
pretty cool. Who would you cast to
Um,
play I almost said Sir Robert April. Who would you cast to play Robert April among the actors you admire today? Alec Baldwin is my
Dude,
choice.
my choice is Tom Hanks,
Oh, that's a really
Oh,
especially
good
Tom
choice. Yeah.
Hanks is good.
especially as he was about
um,
to play Zefram Cochrane before they recast it
uh,
from First Contact.
Oh my gosh, Tom Hanks would be a great Robert April. That's a winner for me too. Marcel, who
well,
would you cast?
yeah. Well, if
Marcel's gonna say J.J. Abrams. No,
no,
I'm
no,
just
no, 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 no.
kidding.
Since this is completely a fan casting, I would probably. How old is Robert April supposed to be?
I don't think it's like established. I think he's just. We meet him later as an older version, right? In Counterclock, right? So he could be.
Yeah, but
And
he
yeah,
de-ages with, yeah,
and
basically.
Yeah.
and if height doesn't matter, I would probably cast the best actor on the planet who is currently not working anymore, Daniel Day Lewis.
Oh my gosh, that's an epic
Yeah, right.
casting for Robert April. That's really good,
Yeah,
really
right.
intense casting for Robert April. Robbie, who would you cast as Robert April?
Um, I'm really
I'm gonna say-
struggling with this one.
Yeah, it'd be a middle-aged actor. Uh, maybe a little older than middle-aged. So older than me. Jude Law. No, I don't know.
Uh,
Well, Robbie struggles with that. I've been prompted from our text message audience to get back on track because they've been waiting for this for us to talk about Lower Decks. So I'm going to pull up this picture to prompt you guys because I've noticed you're very visual. You guys are very visual. So here's like a little picture from Lower Decks. Robbie, any idea who you want to cast as Robert April, or we can just move on?
Sorry, can we move on?
Okay, we'll move on. Lower Decks. Here's a shot from the trailer. Something's going on. There's like a crisis situation, and there's Riker in full command, and aboard the Titan, and it's got that like Nemesis era look to it. It's very cool.
I
What
love
did-
it.
overall impressions? Dan, we heard a lot about what you thought of Lower Decks, and we know you're excited about Lower Decks too. So, Earl Grey Trekkie Lower Decks thoughts.
Basically, the trailer just it made me feel so happy, whenever I watch a Star Trek trailer, I'm always happy, but just seeing all the references, all the great characters, in funny, sometimes relatable situations, especially Mariner, it's just wonderful, and I love the fact that we're not going to get a Titan series, but we're still getting to see the Titan on screen in animated format with Jonathan Frakes back as Riker, which, as Dan pointed out, it is a bit silly. He's been in so many finales, it's almost like a checklist for a Star Trek show to have Riker come back. But it's great to have him. A bit of a shame I don't think we're having Consular Troy in this season, but it was great we got her last season, and I love just the gags we saw, and the Sovereign class design.
Do you guys think we'll see characters like Thad, their son Thad, and Kestra on the show?
No.
Or it's too early, right? Because
Yeah.
the-
It's too,
they're both born a little later. Thad's older than Kestra, so it's still too early, I guess.
Can I make a quick comment about the picture?
Yes.
I really like the character design of the woman that's to the left of Riker. I'm like,
Oh
is
yeah, I was
that
wondering what do you
a half Andorian or
maybe a half
a half
Orion
Enord
or something,
or
or maybe
Orion,
that's
yeah.
a new that lady or person is a
cool.
new species altogether. With an it's
cool.
interesting, like the purple and the green. Yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of serious faces in this particular scene. This is a fun one too. I don't know what they're doing, but it looks like they're building a model of the Cerritos or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. Of course, they're building a model of Cerritos. What do you think they're doing?
Oh, by the way, real quick, PE says Robert Redford should be April. That's an awesome casting, but I think he's going to be maybe Robert April could be that old. I'd like to see
He retired recently.
Captain Vin Riddick battle the Dominion and define. I guess that's a reference to Vin Diesel's Riddick series, and then Baldwin comedy. Sir. I almost called him Sir Alec Baldwin. He's not a sir, but Alec Baldwin is a pretty good serious actor too. Hunt for Red October. I think he's awesome in that movie. But yeah, he is known for comedy more, isn't he? Nowadays. We should do a stream about Robert April. I don't know enough about him, and there's probably a lot of lore out there about him and stuff like that. So, yeah. So what did you guys think of? Like, what do you think they're doing? What do you think they're up to there?
I think they're building a ship model of the Cerritos. That's what I think they're doing. And it's cool. I want one. Can somebody please build me that one? No.
Sorry, just back to the
the other
him
one there.
designing the Cerritos. I think that's really promising that we'll get more development from Tendy and Rutherford, because that was one of my small complaints about the first season, that we didn't get enough from these two characters that I thought would be more prominent. So hopefully his memory loss has allowed us to learn more about them, and hopefully I kind of hope they have a romantic relationship too.
It's
Yeah,
interesting that he
that'd be
could have
cool.
gotten any other prosthetic, but he chose to go back with the same Vulcan prosthetic that malfunctions.
I really hoped they would end up together in the first season, and then it's all the memory wipe thing. It's just like pressing the reset button. I thought too much.
I think I think it's gonna be Lower Decks' lighthearted way of possibly dealing with trauma, because that was
So-
pretty intense. What happened to him with Shax ripping off
Shax.
his eye and then Shax sacrificing himself. Like sometimes when you survive situations like that, you can't help but blame yourself for maybe the death of your comrade or who knows. But no doubt Lower Decks will do it in a lighthearted way. But I wonder if, and I feel like Tendi being such an empathic and kind and sensitive individual isn't going to be who helps him kind of have breakthroughs about that or something like that.
She isn't, or she is?
That she would help him.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think it's really cool that they're working together, and for that reason, I guess, like I really like that image.
They had good moments in season 1, but yeah, it seems like Tendi abandoned Rutherford for the Ascension guy, the the guy who evolved.
That
So funny.
that episode is one of my favorites, but when he actually ascends,
Me too.
it's the most terrifying, disturbing ascension ever.
I know he's like burning him. His,
Not
his clothes are burning and like.
And the koala bear.
And then and then how his shoes fall to the ground, and Tenny just says, "Okay," and he just runs off. I'm like, "Okay, good luck."
This is a funny gag that they revealed at the beginning where the Cerritos forgets.
They left us.
There's a scene that everyone's talking about, which is we also talked about it yesterday on Text Trek. Shout out to Text Trek, which is did this work? Hold on. Oh, it didn't work. Darn it. Hold on. Starfleet boy.
Yeah. Do you guys think that Mariner and Ransom are going to get together or something?
I think they might be heading in that direction. There's probably going to be something, and then they regret it or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But it looks like they go to Free Cloud, which was introduced in Star Trek Picard.
I didn't
That's
even
cool.
pick that up. I didn't even pick that
Yeah, I
up.
learned about this too last night on Text Trek. So
It's even got quarks in it.
yeah, Quark's Bar, and I think it's
Okay.
I think this was also in, I forget, but it definitely looks like Free Cloud.
Of course, Quark would franchise his bar.
Well, one assumes he has his moon, right? Didn't he want a moon? Like, didn't he want a whole moon somewhere or something like that? That was his goal, I think, or something like that. So
Did he get that? Did he get that moon, by the way, at the end?
I don't think we got any confirmation of that.
Yeah, I don't
I think
think. I
it's.
just think he mentioned that he wanted it or something like that.
Sorry, I think it's really cool in that image that you just showed. That like I was waiting for. I really like the doctor. I don't remember her name off the top of my
Oh,
head.
Tiana.
That's
Yeah,
Tiana,
and I was
yeah, yeah.
waiting because I love that species from the animated series of Star Trek, the
The
original
Acacians,
one.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Cations, and there you finally see. It looks like two of them on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Do you
thought
know
that
who
was really
she?
cool.
Do you know who she reminds me of? The doctor character on Lower
Dr.
Decks?
Pulaski, if
Yeah,
I think
yeah. I
you
was
were
just
gonna
about to
say,
say. Yeah.
yeah. I think there's
Same
definitely
here,
a. I think she's definitely an homage to Dr. What was it,
Catherine
Kate?
Pulaski.
Catherine Pulaski.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, but I would love to see a little bit more character development with her also this season. I think that would be cool. But who knows? We might get that.
Yep.
And the
this
plate
is
that
like a
everybody's
gag that I loved seeing so much, and I was kind of bummed that they gave this gag away at the trailer because I would have been on the floor laughing. And I'm sure there's more to the gag. I'm sure it's like a longer gag than what they showed us. But then it just goes a further level because I remember watching it and being like, that's actually a cool plate design. And then lo and behold, there's going to be a release of this plate, an actual plate that you can buy. And so I'm 100% a sucker for these things, and I'm going to totally buy this Tom Paris
Marketing.
plate. No, I know it wins. It wins on so many levels, but
Yeah.
a lot of people are so happy because so many people are fond of. There's a huge community of people, including myself, who are really fond of Robert Duncan McNeil. I think he's a cool guy, and to see
But
him back in
the
Trek
comments.
is
Sorry.
nice. Go ahead, go ahead.
The comments that I've seen has been like, they wish that they saw Tom Paris return in the Flash, and not just like in a way that sort of makes fun of him or it's a caricature basically. And personally, like I was a bit like frustrated that they would sell out to the point of like selling plates just like based on the
See,
trailer.
it's so funny that you see
can
it
I
that
can
way.
I finish?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
finish,
yeah.
please?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go on. Sorry.
Frustrated initially, and then I was like, no, don't have that initial reaction because, like, looking back at the past of Star Trek, like the whole idea, even of like Idic, originally was to to sell Idic symbols. So similarly, it's like franchising. So that's been a massive part of Star Trek through history as well. And yeah, there's just so much of it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I've got my Idic symbol always here.
I was kind of shocked at how young he sounded. That he really put on Tom Paris uniform right back into Voyager era. I don't know if in post production they maybe have some kind of effect that makes the voice sound younger, but if not,
Maybe Robert Duncan McNeil can affect that same kind of visual intonation easily. He might be able to do it for for that. But yeah, he did sound like Tom. Different. He does sound a little different today. He was supposed. I think there was a rumor or something, or he said, or there was an interview where he said that he was approached to come back in Picard. So he would have been back in the flesh, but he was just. It didn't work out because of his schedule. So
Yeah,
he
I
came
think it's
back as a
great
plate. They're punishing
I think
him.
it's
They made
great.
him come back as a plate.
I think it's great that you see like this Voyager era uniform, and I think it's great that you see like the Starship Voyager in that picture as well.
Yeah. This is a gag that I already couldn't stop laughing at, and I think a lot of people were also chuffed about this, which is they're bringing this Temerian character, and he's going to be speaking in metaphors and memes apparently. So that's going to be fun to kind of see those interactions, and you already got a taste of it when he introduces himself.
I'm
But
kind of
regarding that,
Sorry.
do you think they'll be able to get like enough mileage out of him talking like that?
Oh yeah, I mean I feel like there's
Okay.
like I don't think he's gonna be a main the upper deckers are never mains, right? Like they're always just kind of making cameos anyways. So we probably won't see him often.
Okay.
It's gonna focus on the lower deckers. He's a new bridge crew member. What were you gonna say, Robbie?
I'm kind of surprised that he's allowed to have a knife on his uniform.
It's ceremonial. It's ceremonial. It's part of their culture. Although Riker did make, everyone talks about this. Riker made Ro remove her Bajoran jewelry,
Mhm.
right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people
But
say
Shax
that
wore
was
his.
wrong. Shax wore his. Maybe Riker was in the wrong, and the policy was updated later on. You know.
And Worf wore his sash, which I was thinking, like, the Temerian sash is a bit similar to Worf's. I thought that was quite a cool idea.
Do you think something's going to happen? Do you think this will become a trope where we have a new security chief every season and
I hope not.
And they've got a sash.
We
or
get
like
attached to him.
well, I mean just like yeah, like Shax got killed in season 1, we get attached to him. We're going to fall in love with this character and then they're going to kill. I was a baby bear. I was in the bear pack. I love it. I loved the whole idea of the bear pack and that was like really cool. And Shax was just such a he was such a for lack of a better word, like a lovable brute, if you will, like, which is what kind of Worf is in a way sometimes, like I think that, they're a very similar type of character. And I think it'll be interesting because Temerians are definitely, they share that kind of like vibe overall because they are, they're like part of their culture is they go to this planet and they fight these, predator or alien beast things. And so they're a hand-to-hand combat, honor-driven type of species, I think. So that's another similar vibe. I think a Temerian security officer is actually a really great call in terms of like, where their expertise would like put them. So it's pretty cool.
I was kind of expecting. I don't know if it was just maybe what I wanted, but I was kind of hoping the tactical officer would be a Lurian, Morn species, and the gag would be that he never talked or never shot fired when he was asked. But I think a Temerian is even better.
Another snippet from the trailer that a lot of folks are talking about and speculating about is this one. So like it's meant to look like a Cardassian like office of some kind or chamber. It's reminiscent of the Chain of Command set where Jean-Luc was being interrogated and
How many likes?
and yeah, how many
4.
lights exactly there exactly. But I don't know what's going on here. But Mariner's wearing like athletic wear and like
She's also got the Spock headband from the Voyage Home on her head.
right, exactly. And she's like, I don't know if she's being chummy. Well, no, it doesn't look like they're being chummy. It looks like she's got the Cardassian in a headlock there. So.
Well, I was thinking I wouldn't be surprised if this was in the holodeck.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's like a good
That's
call.
possible.
Like, surely one of the things Lower Decks establishes is that some of the missions of the Enterprise are actually famous, and you see, you hear about them. Like, what was the one they referenced on the Deep Space Nine flashback scene? I think they referenced like, what was it? Damn it, I can't remember. Do you guys remember? On Deep Space Nine when they're having the flashback where the guy turns into this like beast character, this like kind of crazy alien or whatever that's like
Yeah, I remember the episode.
but they were referencing she was like, I can't believe this and this happened, like, and it was something that happened like in season 3 of TNG or something like that. And Mariner was like talking about it like if it was news, like if the news, appear the news of these things comes out
I can't remember.
regularly on the Hollow News Network. That's actually from Star Wars, I think, but you get the idea. There's this scene which I'm very interested in. Like, I don't know what's happening here, but Ransom shooting like crazy rainbow energy out of his hands. That's from the teaser. That's not from this most recent trailer, but I thought that was an interesting image as well.
He's clearly like possessed by something. But what?
But what we do not know. And then there's this unraveling of snakes and this like kind of Davy Jones like guy over here. This looks like it's in the same episode where they're in some kind of museum or something, and so like those are not just snakes; they have like little legs and hands too.
Hmm.
So it's like really weird.
Mm.
But yeah, there's a lot of little nuggets in Lower Decks. Like we don't know what's going on here, but Mariner seems to be
MIA? Or,
no, she seems to be behind bars in the brig. Her favorite place, apparently. They don't like to send her to the brig because apparently it's ineffective on Mariner. That's how often she's been to the brig. So-
I'm really curious about to see how Mariner's relationship is going to change with
Captain Freeman.
Freeman.
Yeah. And to see if their relationship gets better or worse since they decided to work together.
Well, in the panel, Tawny Newsom suggests that Mariner might have like a crisis of some sort because she's so used to being rebellious and like against her mom that now that they're kind of like getting along and working together, that doesn't feel right to her either. So you can't really win with Mariner. Like she's always kind of like gonna be butting up against some kind of like imaginary wall or something like that.
But are you gonna no, I'll ask you when the live thing is over.
Oh, okay. Do you guys have any other thoughts on Lord? What are your hopes for Lower Deck season 2? And now that Lower Deck season 1's been kind of done and it's in the can, Mike McMahon said, "Don't try to figure out what's happening because you're never gonna figure it out." So I take that as a challenge, and so I'm wondering if any of you guys, I'm wondering if any of you guys have any theories or ideas at what might happen. Do you think it's gonna follow the same format of series 1 where it's kind of like a lot of episodic type things but with this like kind of crazy ending that like makes it get real, or do you think they're going to go in a different direction altogether?
I think it's gonna follow the imprint of season one, and just like maybe with 4 or 5 episodes left in the season, things are gonna get real, and that something is gonna happen in the series finale of season 2 that's gonna make us chomp at the bit for season 3.
Yeah, I think they're always going to want to have the finale have some wild thing happen to keep you hooked.
Yeah, it's for season 3. What do you think, Dan?
I was thinking basically two thoughts. Firstly, when you were talking about whether you think they'll have a different tactical officer each season, I don't think they will, because I think like the sort of death of Shax was a bit of a reference to Tashi Yar being killed off in the first season.
Nice. Yeah, I
So,
agree with that. That's cool.
but I can sort of see like sort of how sort of like Wesley Crusher left and Ensign Rowe came in, like different additions and departures of the cast outside the role of tactical officer. And I was also thinking about how one of my friends, Star Trek author Terry J. Erdman, like often says, just like to speculating fans, just like patience. And I said to him, yeah, like I can totally accept that and go with patience, but at the same time, being a Star Trek fan,
Better
it can be
done.
fun.
Yeah, better said than done. Right? Exactly. It could be
Can
fun.
be
It is fun,
fun
right?
speculating.
Yeah, it is fun.
And thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, of
And,
course. No.
thank you. Yeah, I've enjoyed speaking with you all.
It
So
was a pleasure
no
to see you.
idea. No idea what's gonna happen. Robbie, do you have any speculations or anything like that?
I kind of struggle because Mike McMahon, I think Lower Decks is probably one of the hardest shows to speculate on, just because it's so wild and it's humorous, so it makes it a bit more difficult than, say, Discovery, where it kind of follows the same mold with every season, it seems now. For me, I just hope we get more character development from Tentin Rutherford. Lots of memes from this Temerian. I would like to see a romance between Ransom and Mariner, and maybe a feud that could be quite funny. Um,
It's not gonna end well. It's gonna happen. They're gonna get hook up because they're both drunk or some crazy thing, and it's not gonna end well. I just have a feeling it is. I do think that's gonna be a strong possibility. Maybe where do you guys? Well, I mean, we could talk about this stuff forever, and I know we've been streaming for almost 2 hours, but I guess we'll end on Blue's question because they want to know before you guys go, when will the trailer for Strange New Worlds drop? I think the going speculation
Oh
is
my
on
God.
Star Trek Day, so on the anniversary of Star Trek, which is coming up.
When
But a
is
lot of
that?
people are speculating that it'll happen at STLV, which is coming up very soon.
Like,
A lot of people I've noticed has been speculating that it will probably be released after they've had time to finish up off the second unit work and uh, do post production work on it. That would include, of course, like visual effects, like even preliminary visual effects. I think they would be
Yeah,
inclined to include those for the
and
trailer.
Dan, I think it's possible that like we could get a teaser or a sizzle reel because it's possible that they've already completed at least one or two episodes. So maybe the first couple or three
Mm.
even, might be very near complete, if not complete, because they just wrapped
Yeah.
on shooting. But all the way these things work is like, when they finished episode one, that episode probably already started going into post production
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, but like they only wrapped first unit production.
Right.
That's the thing as well.
I think Marcelo had to step away, but any
no, I'm
speculation
sorry.
about the drop date of the
He's
teaser?
back.
Oh wait, what was your prediction on the drop date of the teaser, Dan,
Well,
or
I'll
whatever?
agree with you. I
Star Trek
don't.
Day
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see that as being unfeasible at this
or
point.
STLV? Yeah. What about you, Marcelo, and what about you over at Trekkie?
I I want it as soon as possible. I don't like I just like
Like
that.
Tuesday, you're hoping Tuesday, just casually, Star
Yeah,
Trek.com, Star Trek Twitter just throws it out there, or maybe Anson Mount
yeah.
got to do it, or someone gets to do it.
No,
Like,
no, because I got so much, I got so much. I got like some sort of pushback from Father last night on Starfleet Boy After Dark because my biggest disappointment from all the panels that
oh
we got
yeah,
was the fact that we didn't get anything about Strange New Worlds. But
but
um,
if I may, that's on you. It and me because
yes,
I was kind of
yes,
secretly hoping it too. But it is the animation panel. There's no reason
right,
why there
yeah,
would be
yeah.
any Strange New Worlds like information.
No,
Well,
but
unlike this show where we talked about everything else, including the
except what we were going
animation.
to talk about.
The panel stood on topic with a few exceptions, with a few
No,
notable exceptions. But yeah,
no, but in all seriousness, I think it would be really cool if they released it on Star Trek Day
hmm
rather than the Star Trek convention that we have coming up pretty soon. But I really want to see it as soon as they're ready to release it.
with the exception of the set in the furthest point in the story, uh, or like unknown point in the story. I am very chuffed that we're going to be having regular adventures aboard the USS Enterprise. Also, an Enterprise that I'm very familiar with, even if it doesn't look, entirely like what I want it to look like in that era. I still am very pleased that we're going to have adventures with the crew of the Enterprise. It's really exciting to me. So yeah, what about you, Robbie?
I'm of two minds because, well, just I think one of the things I'm most excited for is episodic adventures. Finally, we haven't had episodic adventures since earlier Enterprise, and I'm just really excited to see what they come up with for shorter stories. And as for a release date, I'm of two minds. Um, on the one hand, I want it sooner because Strange New Worlds is the Star Trek I'm most looking forward to, but I feel like they might take a bit longer just because this is the only Star Trek that's been asked for. Fans actually kind of petitioned for this show, and we've got it. So, the powers that be know that this is the show to make really good, because this is the ones the fans asked for. They're going to want to make it really nostalgia heavy, and just they'll want it to look completely pristine for the fans, and I think that's why they've got the AR wall in use. So I feel like they might want to finish all the visual effects and have them looking great before a trailer, but we'll have to see. I hope we get it sooner too.
I think like first, all we can expect is a teaser. We're not gonna get a full trailer until, you're right, until they've really put more work into the whole series. I agree with you on that. Sorry, one quick thing, Dan, before we'll let you finish we'll let you have the last word on this, but I just want to say I'm so pleased that Anson Mount tweets out updates. Like, to me, that's like so refreshing.
Yeah.
So refreshing to see, like, to actually like not have to like look at rumor sites. Like, I can just go to Twitter and say, look, I know the day they wrapped up shoot. It's like so cool that Anson Mount does that. So I hope he gets to keep doing that.
Yeah, did you see his tweet today? Or?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. They wrapped
Okay,
filming and principal photography and the main he called it first unit or whatever photography's done. Shooting is done. Dan, sorry I interrupted you earlier, but please go ahead. Starfleet Boy, casual and informal. We're always interrupting. You can interrupt me anytime you want as well. So finish your thought.
Yeah, I think it's cool that Anson Mount tweets, and also enjoy his podcast. I think I was
The
like
Well
one of
is so good. Yeah,
there were loads of people that commented on his post, but I was probably like one of the first, and he gave my response to his tweet a like.
Nice.
I thought, whoa, that is cool. But yeah, I would say basically like watch this space for release on the 8th of May. Anyway. I won't say any more than that at this point. But, yeah.
Nice. Thank you guys for coming on. Everyone, please, everyone who's on this panel today has a YouTube channel, so you can check out Dan at the Scotch Trekker on YouTube, as well as on Twitter, and you can check out Robbie on Earl Grey Trekkie 1701. Are you still Earl Grey Trekkie 1701 on YouTube, Robbie?
No 1701 anymore.
Oh, it's just Earl Grey Trekkie. Thank you. And you can check out Marcelo on YouTube at Balloonhead.
Productions.
Wait. Oh, I was going to say Productions this time, but you had me second guessing myself because I said it wrong last night. What did I say last night? What did I say, Balloonhead?
Media.
Balloonhead Productions.
But it's always Productions.
It's always Productions. Good to know. Balloonhead Productions. But you can also, by the way, Dan, do you have a podcast as well or any other thing, or is it just strict Source of Truth is over at the Scotch Trekker?
The Scotch Trekker on like Facebook page, Facebook group, Twitter page.
Oh, perfect.
YouTube. And then I've got like a big announcement to make on the it must be it's the 19th of August about what will be happening on the 8th of May.
Oh, okay, awesome. Very cool. We look forward to that. And then you can check out
exclusive.
Oh, very cool. I can't wait. You can check out Starfleet Boy. This is Starfleet Boy After Dark. For those of you who know what this is, of course, we usually stream on Friday nights. But also I created Starfleet Boy After Dark to do kind of just like this. This was a totally impromptu discussion with this panel. I was just like, oh, let's talk about Star Trek. Robbie was like, let's invite more people. And so it became a nice little crew. And so I appreciate you guys giving me your time, your precious time, but doing it on the fly too. That's really amazing. I really appreciate it. If I had lots of Latinum, I don't have a lot of Latinum. If I did, I'd shower you guys with Latinum right now. So thank you so much. Live long and prosper, everyone. And thank you, audience. There's quite a nice little audience, joining us. So thank you very much. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you next time.